Every week, we take the time to educate you on relevant topics around tax administration in Lagos State, with the help of seasoned hands in the sector. Now, we dissect and analyze the roles and obligations of the Revenue Agency, other relevant bodies, and those of the taxpayers as well. This is the Tax Talk, and my name is Titilayo Oyinson. We start off the show this week, once again, with business news. Do stay with us.
This is business news. The Lagos State Employment Trust Fund, in partnership with the Alimosho local government, has presented loan checks to qualified entrepreneurs under its MSME financial program, reinforcing the Lagos State government's commitment to supporting small businesses, creating jobs, and growing the state's economy. Speaking at the presentation, Alimosho Local Government Chairman Akinpelu Ibrahim Johnson urged the beneficiaries to use the loans responsibly and ensure prompt repayment so that more entrepreneurs can benefit. He described the initiative as a strategic investment in business growth, employment generation, and sustainable economic development. Also speaking, LSETF Director of Programs Oyindamola Egbeyemi said beneficiaries received entrepreneurship, financial literacy, and business management training before accessing the loans. She stressed that sound financial discipline, proper record keeping, and responsible business practices are essential for business sustainability, increased productivity, and greater tax compliance, which ultimately strengthens Lagos State's economy and supports improved public service delivery. Beneficiaries described the support as timely, saying it would help expand their businesses and increase productivity. And that's it on business news.
Welcome back. Now, today we're going to be talking about the informal economy and inclusion on Corporate Talk. Our guest today is not a stranger to us on the Tax Talk, and she brings a wealth of knowledge to the area. Dr. Folashade Coker, Director, Informal Sector and Special Duties, LIRS. Now, she joins us as we once again take a look at the informal sector with regards to tax administration. It's great to have you here, Dr. Coker.
It's a pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me.
Okay, so there's so many conversations we could start with, but let's begin this way. Now, there's widespread public discussion around income thresholds, particularly with the narrative of individuals earning below 800,000 naira and them being automatically exempt from tax. Now, from a statutory and administrative point of view, please help us understand the informal sector operators and how to understand the income thresholds when it comes to compliance.
Thank you very much for that question. The reality of it is that the informal sector are the base of the pyramid. And with the new tax laws that were passed, in specific to the Nigerian Tax Act and the Nigerian Tax Administration Act, from which there's a presumptive tax regulation that is drawn from Section 29 of the Nigerian Tax Act. It gives power and says that anybody earning below 800,000 is exempt from tax, so should pay 0% of tax.
That's per annum?
Per annum, yes.
Okay.
But the reality of it is that for you to benefit from that, there must be justification. And the onus of proof is on the taxpayer to prove that, oh, based on XYZ information and documents, I'm actually earning below 800,000.
Okay.
And how do you do that justification or proof? It's by first filing. So tax law says that anybody, any taxable adult living or resident in Nigeria must file their returns and declare honestly without any prompts, without anybody demanding that you should file. So that requirement now obtains even in the informal sector. Everyone in the informal sector is expected now to file their returns, and the tax regulation has made it easy that you now have provisions for a simplified tax filing. So you don't need an accountant, you don't need to have an auditor, because the government doesn't want to burden the people at the base of the pyramid. So it's just a basic income and expense report. And once you do that, and it's justified that you should be exempt, then you'll have your tax exemption sticker given to you by the various internal revenue services.
Thank you so much for clarifying that. To be honest, there's so many conversations, and this new tax framework needs quite a bit of clarification for some. Now, let's talk a bit more about the framework. Is it very different from the Nigeria Tax Administrations Act?
The reality is it's not different. And I believe you're talking about the presumptive tax regulation.
Tax, yes.
So the presumptive tax regulation is a substantive law. And what do I mean by that? Things like the Personal Income Tax Act, the Value Added Tax Act that you had before, the Companies Income Tax Act, they now all form what is called the Nigerian Tax Act.
Sure.
So they've all been consolidated into one act, so you don't need to look for a lot of laws and acts to be able to know what to pay. So the presumptive tax regulation is also in that substantive law. So it draws its strength from there. Then the Nigerian Tax Administration Act deals with what to assess, who to file, when to file, the penalties that are due, the punishments, and the interest and all that. So the presumptive tax regulation was drawn from that act for the purpose of the people in the informal sector, because they do not, as I said earlier, want to saddle them with, oh, get a consultant, get an accountant. So simplified filing has been provided under that tax regulation. Anybody that is earning below 12 million as a turnover is also exempt from tax. They've also made provision that they should be given the exemption stickers on an annual basis. They must also ensure that they get a tax ID. They can be registered as a presumptive. They themselves can register under the Presumptive Act. And over time, they can also look at it that, oh, I've gotten a level of documentation right. It's time I move or transit from the presumptive tax regulation to proper personal income tax. So thereof, they can write us and tell us that, oh, we have a level of formalization and we are good to go as a proper direct assessment payer.
So I honestly want to go back to something you mentioned earlier. You know, you've already clarified how presumptive regime sort of fits into the architecture of the tax administration laws. You've cleared that up. But then there is a recurring concern among informal operators. Now, that's whether every individual engaged in small-scale or informal economic activity, whether they are actually required to file annual tax returns. So how does LIRS interpret the filing obligation within the context of inclusion as well as fairness?
Thank you. Every taxable adult must file their returns. So using that word every, that means that irrespective of what sector that you are, or that you transact business, or you have an income or earn an income, you must file your returns. And of course, people might look at it that why burden the informal sector with such a charge? But when you look at it that the government is ready to give an exemption, and you cannot just look at someone and say, oh, this person should be exempt from tax payments. There must be proof. Otherwise, a lot of people will take advantage of it and it will end up not achieving what government wants it to achieve. So coming to the question of inclusion, how do we include and ensure that it doesn't add additional burden on this group of people.
Sure.
How we do that is that there's something called the Ibile of application. And you recall that I said that the presumptive tax regulation makes provision for a simplified filing. Not only did that regulation make provision for a simplified filing, it actually also gave a template.
Interesting.
To be used to ensure that it is actually simplified. So it is not at the discretion of all the internal revenue services. And that presumptive tax regulation also came through the authority of the Joint Revenue Board. So all the chairmen of the various IRSs and the chairman of the federal, the Nigerian Revenue Service were part of that committee that enacted that regulation. So they've looked at it, they've understood what can be termed simplified. And this simplified form of filing, once we use it in the tax, in the informal sector, a lot of people understand that it's simple, it has basic information, and it's easy to fill, and it's easy to understand for that level of people.
Let's take it a little further to explain how simple, how easy it actually is to file. Let's consider someone who is maybe on the lower cadre when it comes to literacy. So if you have access to the Ibile app, right, what is the first thing they need to do?
Okay, so having access to the Ibile app is not to the taxpayer.
Okay.
It's something that is a handheld device that our staff carry around.
Okay.
Because for us, ease of doing business is very key. So we don't want people in that sector having to look for a tax station or the IRS head office and all that. So we actually go into the market space. We make that application available. We also understand our clients. We understand that some people are not IT savvy. We know that people are not that learned. And so we've prepared for that to ensure that we enable voluntary compliance. Because when it's easy and simple, people are able to comply better. So we go with the apps. If you write your names down, we type it, we write all the details, or you write it and we input it in the system. We show that to you. We get your validation that they are actually accurate. And once it's accurate, we do that also in like a paper form so that you can have all that information available.
Well. Okay.
And you'd always remember that you gave us that information. Why are we doing this? Because the law also provides that when you falsely declare, there's a penalty. So we want the taxpayer to take ownership of the information that they've provided. And where we then go back and do a level of profiling to be able to sift the wheat away from the chaff and find out that what you declared is not actually what it is. You will not be able to say, oh, it was Shade that filled it for me.
Sure.
You would remember that we ran everything by you and you actually validated it and we gave you a copy which we also read to you. So you take ownership of that. So that's inclusion. Then for the high level, the small, the medium and large enterprises, they have what is called the e-tax application, where they can do it themselves in the comfort of their offices, their homes, or with our guidance. And hopefully over time, they'll be able to do that on their own.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, I have to say, Dr. Coker, every answer you've given us, everything you've provided so far is helping us peel back so many layers of misinformation and even misconceptions that are out there. But we still want to keep you for a little while. There's still a few more questions we have for you. I hope you won't mind as we take a quick break. We still have more coming your way. I trust you'll be there when we get back from this break.
Have you had a hard time with taxes and understanding tax administration in Lagos State and the complex nature of Nigerian tax law? Do you know what agency or tier of government collects the various types of taxes? Have you ever found yourself asking any of these questions? Join us for your favorite program, The Tax Talk, your infotainment program.
Welcome back. Now you're tuned to the Tax Talk, and our guest today on Corporate Talk is the Director, Informal Sector and Special Duties, LIRS, Dr. Folashade Coker. Let's have a conversation with regards where the law provides exemptions for certain categories of taxpayers. Does such exemption automatically remove obligation to file returns? So what is the distinction that the informal sector participants understand the difference between the liability, and of course, filing responsibly.
Okay, thank you. So exemption from tax payment is totally different from filing of returns.
Okay.
Because filing of returns precedes any exemption that you'll be given. And even exemptions cannot be given blanket without the filing, because it's the filing, in your filing, that you'll state, oh, this is what I earned. Oh, these are the expenses I incurred. I took a loan, I took a mortgage. All those are informations, critical information that would be imputed in your filing. And that would give the tax administrator or the tax authority the information that they need to know and assess you to whatever tax or category that you belong.
So it affects the percentage, or does it affect the amount that eventually you will need to remit?
It affects the fact that you even have to pay tax at all.
Interesting.
So your filing will determine whether you should be exempted from tax payments,
Okay.
whether you should pay, maybe, let's say, for example, what the minimum is. You should pay the minimum percentage of tax, or you should pay the maximum of 25%.
Okay.
So all that would be found in your filing. And where it is not found, maybe because you did not declare, you under-declared, or you falsely declared, it would also give us the justification to give you additional assessments based on other information that we would have gotten, or even to go ahead to prosecute where that is necessary, where you falsely declared at all.
Now, I'm still quite curious about the affordability of professional accounting services. So for people who consider it a genuine concern within the informal economy, talk to us about the more simplified compliance pathways, or maybe even support mechanisms that LIRS has introduced to ensure the inability, or rather the fact that you cannot hire someone, a consultant or accountant or an auditor, doesn't become a barrier to lawful compliance.
The reality is that the informal sector is the growth area for the entirety of Nigeria and Africa. That's my belief.
Wow.
And the government also understands that, and understands that the people or the traders at this base of the pyramid need ease to be able to go about their business. And as I rightly tell them most times, that if small, medium enterprises are not in business, any revenue authority would not be in business. So it's important for us that they thrive, because in their success lies governance, lies revenue, IGR, internally generated revenue. So that is critical for us. So we do not want to belabor them, we do not want to burden them. And that's what these new tax acts have come to do. They have come to simplify things. They have come to make it easy to enable and enhance compliance.
Okay.
And it's over time going to build trust, because where you file your returns and you are due to an exemption, government is expected to give it to you. And where that is given to you, you'll be able to go abroad, become an evangelist for government to say, oh, I deserved and earned an exemption from paying tax, and I got it. And the fact that I got it, another person will say, oh, I was just supposed to be assessed on 15% or on 7%, and I was assessed on that. And the person that should have been assessed on 25% based on a 50 million income got that also. So you'll be able to speak about that, and it will show equity. It will prove that government is fair. It will prove that government is just. And it will also prove that everybody is paying according to what they earn. Where you also have loans and all that, that will be considered. Your expenses will be taken into consideration. So it doesn't mean that it's all the profit that you have that will be subject to tax. You would have the opportunity to take out your expenses and therefore thereafter compute your tax due.
Welcome back. Now, just in case you missed any detail or maybe even the entire discussion earlier on the show, you can always subscribe to our YouTube channel and catch the entire show as well as previous episodes as well. You can also join our online community across all social media by engaging our handles across board. Up next, Tax Did It.
The Lagos State Geographical Information System, LIRS building, which you have also just seen, addresses very difficult urban planning and management issues in our state. I'm a surveyor by training. I know what a geographical information system means, and that building is next to none. The third project, which is a multi-agency administrative complex, which will today be formally christened and be called the Bola Ahmed Tinubu Administrative Complex, BATAC, directly addresses another priority on this administration: the need for us to improve the speed of efficiency and coordination of our government services.
I want to commend Governor Sanwo-Olu, the governor of Lagos State, and his team for their focus and discipline in financial management. To the people of Lagos, I say this: these projects are for you. They are investments in your future.
Indeed, Mr. President, today is in itself a gift, a testament that the leader who once walked those corridors as a governor, who laid the foundation and infrastructure of modern Lagos, now the ones that we are building on. This is a mark of a man whose work is never finished because his vision is never small.